looks like we got everybody, I think. Fairly short calendar night. Gentlemen, stay in your seat. Stay in the booth, okay? If you hear me call a name and it's not yours and maybe the guy behind you, don't worry about it. We'll come back. But when I call your name, you need to wave your hand so that I can see that you're here. I understand in Cobb you may be handcuffed, but best you can. Shrug your shoulder, do something like that so I can at least see that you're here, okay? And we'll get through this as quickly as possible. Don't braid your hair. Don't mash your zits. Don't turn around. Don't run outside. I know it's time for medical call for your meds. If so, you can step outside and get them, but please, we will try to get you in and out of here as quickly as possible. Tonight, this is what I call a you problem, gentlemen. That means you are in jail. I'm addressing your bond and your bond conditions, okay? So I'm going to tell you the charges, and I'm going to address bond on each charge, and then I'll put conditions with those bonds. So pay attention. It may tell you to stay away from somewhere, somebody, or something. So just make sure you pay attention. Your public defender, your lawyer is going to probably mail you a copy of your bond order once they're finished tonight. But by chance, if you happen to bond out before you get a copy of that bond order, you should reach out to your attorney and say, hey, can you send me a copy of my bond order? Because you may not remember the conditions and you could be violating it just by being in Fulton County. If I tell you to stay out of Fulton County, it's not an opportunity for you to talk tonight. It's a lot like first appearance. We're just addressing bond though, okay? So everybody's on mute. Not going to be able to hear you. The only people that are going to talk are the public defenders and myself, pre-trial, and maybe a victim advocate or something like that. But as far as you folks, you're not going to get a chance to talk, okay? Everybody got it? Give me a thumbs up. All right. When I call your name, just take your, just wave your hand for me. Let's see. Christopher Terrell. Thank you, sir. It's position 9. We got everybody here. We got Miss Correa. Yep. Brooks, Miss Correa.
I'm covering for her, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. This is position 9, boss, to see. All right. It's 21 CP 204022. Christopher Terrell. 538 days in jail without indictment. Aggravated assault. There is a $40,000 good bond as of December the 1st. I don't know, but please tell me this is not the only charge that's holding him in jail for 538 days without an indictment. Pre-trial.
Christopher Terrell, Judge. 15 in Georgia, 1 in Florida. 2 felony, both are aggravated assaults. 3 misdemeanors, battery, and a simple, I can't talk. Simple battery, visible harm. Jeez. 2 FTAs. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Terrell is one of the oldest cases in attorney. Oh, I'm sorry. It is the oldest case in Attorney Correa's caseload. He has been in custody since October 23rd of 2021. That is approximately 540 days of continuous confinement without an indictment. Mr. Terrell's first preliminary hearing was supposed to be June 21st of 22, which would be 8 months after his arrest. The officer failed to appear that day and the case had to be reset. On June 30th of 2022, the officer did appear and testified that the alleged incident date was June 2nd, 2020. The officer testified that the complaining witness is a known homeless individual. The officer also testified that no weapon has ever been recovered or even identified. It's just known as an unknown shiny object and only suspected to be a knife. At Mr. Terrell's last court date, December 1st of 2022, ADA, I don't want to butcher this. One of the ADAs, I don't want to butcher their name, was candid with the court that there has been no state contact with the complaining witness and that a locate request was done in 2021 and that request yielded no results. As of today, we are at 50 days away from this alleged incident date being 3 years old. Decisions must be made in this case, and there has to be an indictment. Regarding Mr. Terrell, he will live with Miss Pennington at the address notated on Odyssey, so we do have a good address for him to go to. He was receiving SSI and disability at the time of his arrest due to mental health conditions. He has 4 adult children and 5 grandchildren. At this time, since there has been absolutely no movement, and I am interested in hearing from the ADA if there has been any contact with the complaining witness, and he has been in there for 540 days, we are asking for a $1,000 bond so Mr. Terrell may return to his family. It has been way too long for him to have been in here with absolutely no movement on this case.
Right. As promised, I've already put that in my email to Miss Willis that I just add to along the night, and then I hit send at the end of the night. So I already put that on there, and that's highlighted in red. Miss Brooks.
Yes, Your Honor. Our victim advocate did attempt to make contact with the victim. I believe his name is Christopher Martin. She did leave a voicemail. However, she was not able to make contact. At this time, Your Honor, we do understand he's been in jail for an extended period of time. If the court is inclined to grant bond, we would just ask that he stay away from the victim, Christopher Martin, stay away from the incident location, 840 McDonough Boulevard, and have no further contact with the victim at this time.
I didn't hear a number from you.
You did not, Your Honor. If the bond is at $40,000 at this time, I would ask that it remain the same.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. I don't even have to put an ankle monitor. So he's gonna live as a McDaniel Street.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. No further contact with Christopher Martin. Stay away from 840 McDonough Boulevard, Southeast. Because on here before we said must provide a sufficient address. So.
Now we have one, Your Honor, so problem solved.
All right, so if it's the McDonough address, what's your position on ankle monitor? I mean, he's been in here 538 days.
We would ask for an ankle monitor to be added as well if he's going to receive a bond he can potentially make.
We would consent to an ankle monitor because we have the utmost faith in him that he is going to return. So we're not concerned about that. We are just asking for a $1,000 bond so that he can go home and have the opportunity to be on an ankle monitor.
All right. 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, attorney visits. I guess if he's on SSI, I probably need to do some more medical visits. But if you have some type of job, whatever, as long as you supply the name of your location you'll be working, the name of the employer, the schedule, supply that to the ankle monitoring company and to Ms. Correa. $2,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lay the booth, sir. Thank you. All right, Daquan Wright. Mr. Wright, looks like we got 3 cases. All right. 22 CP 214988, 107 days without indictment. No bond as of December the 29th. Robbery by sudden snatching. 22 CP 214889, 107 days without indictment. Robbery by sudden snatching. No bond as of December 29th. 22 CP 214990, 107 days without indictment. Robbery by sudden snatching. No bond as of December the 29th. Free trial.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Wright, 2 prior arrests, but numerous other open cases. 22 CP 214990, robbery. 21 CP 201949, robbery. 21 SC 17987, robbery. Computer theft, 2 counts. Computer forgery, 5 counts. 21 CP 201950, robbery. 21 CP 202312, ID theft, financial transaction card fraud. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Clayton.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have before you Mr. Daquan Wright. He's 21 years old. He does have a good address, 5679 Dunmore Drive, Jonesboro, Georgia, where he lives with his mother, Yolanda Wright, and his sister, Brianna Davis. He has been in jail for more than 90 days, 107 days without indictment. We would not have a problem with an ankle monitor or with staying out of Fulton County, but we would ask that the bond be set at $5,000 on each of these cases.
Ms. Brooks?
Your Honor, we do believe Mr. Wright is at risk to commit additional crimes if he is released on bond. Currently, as you just stated, he has 3 open robbery by snatch charges. Our victim advocate did try to reach the victim in case ending in 988, Dina Bikele. However, she was not able to make contact at this time. We would request an ankle monitor and that he stay away from any victims. The court is inclined to set bond. We'd be asking for a bond of at least $50,000 on each case.
All right, position 21, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2848 Main Street. Stay away from all MARTA property, sir. Buses, trains, planes, automobiles. If you try to tie your shoe at a MARTA bus stop, you're in violation of your bond condition. Stop, walk past that bus stop, sit down and tie your shoe somewhere else. No further contact with DINA, last name BEKELE. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the Orca Project with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that to your lawyer and to the ankle monitoring company. Stay out of Fulton County. The only reason you're coming to Fulton County's court or to see your lawyer. Throw snacks in your car if you're driving, because you can't stop and get a snack, get gas, get a flat tire, straight to the courthouse, and leave. $25,000 good bond. Position 22, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with Antonius, ANTONIOUS. Last name is DIEKER. Stay away from 2020 Lee Street Southwest. Stay away from all MARTA property, bus stops, train stations, MARTA property, period. Once again, can't even tie your shoe at a bus stop. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the Orca Project with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. Employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, location, and a schedule to the ankle monitoring company and to your lawyer. Stay out of Fulton County, once again, unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't get a flat tire, don't get a snack. $25,000 good bond. Position 23. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2020 Lee Street Southwest. No further contact with Charles Wynn, NGUYEM. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the Orca Project with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. Once again, as long as you supply the name of your employer, place of employment, schedule, and exact location you'll be working. Stay out of Fulton County. You only come to Fulton County for court or to see your lawyer. So if you have to go to Cobb County, hit 285. Do not run out of gas on 285. That'll be a violation of your bond conditions. $25,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Judge, I'm sorry. I'm not sure. Mr. Wright has a hold for Cobb County and a hold for Clayton County. I don't know if that is going to mess
You'll
up.
have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on his ankle once he's released from that hold.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is that it for you, Mr. Clayton, or do you have more?
That's it. That's it for me.
All right. Have a good one.
Good to see you.
Let's see. Is ACDC back yet? I don't see him.
No, Judge, I don't think she's back on
Okay,
yet.
let's see. 2. I got, how about Reginald Peterson? Wave your hand if you're Reginald Peterson. All right. Position 12. We got Ms. Safarasi here for Mr. Peterson.
I'm also covering for her, Your
You're
Honor.
also Ms. Safarasi there. All right.
I know, I have multiple personalities.
All right, 22 CP 214794, 118 days without indictment, December the 19th. There's a $15,000 good bond for crossing state county guard lines with weapons, intoxicants, or drugs without consent, terroristic threats and acts, giving false information, law enforcement officer, willful obstruction. Preach, Rob.
Well, Ms. Beck, we got rap services for that if you need it. Anyway,
I appreciate that. I don't know if I would qualify.
In regards to Mr. Peterson, judge, multi-state offender, 6 in Georgia, 1 in Connecticut, 19 in Alabama, 1 in Florida, open case, 19 SC 167507, obstruction, simple battery, 2 counts in judicial hold. In Alabama, he has old convictions in the 90s. In Connecticut, old stuff. He has a hold in Decatur for probation violation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Beck, and we know where he's going to live.
We have a good mailing address for him that he can definitely receive mail at. We are still working on an address, but he did say that he does check that mailbox regularly.
Okay.
And that is 89 Ellis Street in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
So it has been 118 days without an indictment or preliminary hearing. He has not yet been heard for a preliminary hearing. Mr. Peterson is 49 years old. He has lived in Georgia for the last 12 years. He has one child, and he also has a lot of family that lives here in the state. He was employed with churches prior to his arrest. He went through the 10th grade, and we are asking for a bond not to exceed $5,000, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
Your Honor, in this matter, we'd be asking for bond to remain the same at $15,000. We would ask that he stay away from the victim listed as Rosico L. Our victim advocate did attempt to make contact with that victim. However, the phone number was not listed on the report. We would also ask for a ankle monitor.
Your Honor, if I may, I would like the fact that the state is unable to get in contact with the complaining witness to be taken into consideration. Moving forward, they would have to get in touch with them for the case to be successful. So we would like that to be taken into account.
All right, come on in, 4 South, booth 3, sit down. All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2873 Main Street, El Rosico. I think that's the name of the restaurant. I don't think that's a person's name, maybe. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. No further contact with, let's see, Officer D. Bailey, unless it's in her official capacity. You have to supply an address where you'll be living when you bond out, so you have to give it to the jail. So we got 2,000, 5,000. 1,000 and 2,000, 2,000, 5,000, 1,000 and 2,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle once you get released from your hold. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Joseph Allen. Joseph Allen, sorry. Oh, there you go. All right. Thank you, sir. We got 22 CP 214963, 109 days without indictment. No, let's see. There is a there's a split bond. There's 5,000 on battery and no bond on cruelty in the first degree as of December the 28th.
Judge, in regards to Mr. Allen, multi-state offender, 12 in New Jersey, 15 in Georgia, 2 FTAs, aggravated assault and controlled substance. He has a 2021 battery. That victim is an Alexandria Gregory. Open simple battery family violence, 22 CR 003728F. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Allen has been in jail for 108 days, currently without indictment and without a preliminary hearing. He is originally from New Jersey, yes, but he's been living in Georgia the past good while, Judge. He is stationed here and he does have a good address here. That address being 5050 Chavret Drive in College Park. I'll have to file a change of address momentarily for that. I did call essentially the landlord for that property. He has verified that Mr. Allen will be able to stay there once he is released. Mr. Allen has an 11-year-old son who he takes care of and, you know, wants to be there for, wants to make sure he has a great life ahead of him. And, you know, him being in jail at this moment is not providing the best example for him, and he wants to be able to be there for his kid. He was working as well at a company called Harry and David, doing line production there. It's essentially similar to the edible arrangements company. Essentially, he arranges confectionery gifts. Judge, in regards to this incident, it does involve someone who he will not be living with as well. There won't be an issue with any sort of stay away. And with that in mind, Judge, we are asking for a reasonable bond to be set for Mr. Allen. At this point, because he's been out of work for, you know, as long as he's been in jail, We're not sure how much he'll be able to afford for bond. And we don't know if he has anyone at present who'd be able to sign him out on bond as well. So Judge, all I can ask for in regards to this case is a UGR for Mr. Allen, so that he can go back to his address in College Park and be a good father to his kids.
So the alleged victim in here isn't his child, right?
Correct.
Okay. What says the state?
Your Honor, the state would be requesting at least.
88 Brooks, you're muted right now.
Ooh, sorry, thank you. Judge, the state will be requesting a $30,000 bond. As you stated, this was not his child. However, this was someone under the age of 18 that did indicate they were struck in the face several times by the defendant. So at this time, the state would ask for a $30,000 bond, a stay away from the victim. C. Wilkins is the name, and also a stay away from the location, 3076 Elmwood Court. We would also ask for an.
All right. Mr. Allen, are you going to live on the Clayton County side of College Park? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Fulton, thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment is scheduled, the exact location you'll be working. You have to supply that to Mr. Rhodes and to the ankle monitoring company, sir. No further contact with the minor with initials CW. Last name Wilkins. Stay away from 3076 Elmwood Court, City of South Fulton. 20,000 count one, 5,000 count two. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. I got Dontavius Douglas. All right, Mr. Douglas, looks like there's 3 cases. You ready, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes, Judge.
All right. 22 CP 214983, 108 days without indictment, $15,000 good bond on use of firearm by a convicted felon during the commission of a crime, simple battery, family violence, cruelty to children in the third. Position 20, 22 CP 214984, 108 days without indictment as of December 28th, no bond on theft by extortion. Let's see, position 1, it's an add-on, 22 CP 214982, 108 days without indictment. There's a $3,500 good bond on possession of cocaine. Trial. Bostic, you're on mute.
Dang it. 4 felonies. 2016, 2017, theft by shoplifting, 2019, cocaine firearm during 2019, cocaine. 1, 2, 3, 4 FTAs, 2010, 17, 19, and 2022, 3 arrests for probation violation. 2 misdemeanors. I missed some felonies because there's more theft by shoplifting. And theft by shoplifting 2015, theft by shoplifting 4 counts, theft by shoplifting 2 counts. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Douglas has been in for 108 days, also with no indictment and no preliminary hearing as well. He is entitled to a bond on this day. I have spoken with his family and his community who do support him. I know at least one such person is essentially a mentor and social worker for him. She is on this Zoom call as Olumayowoa Ojemuwi. I'm so sorry. I'm weird with Nigerian names. I apologize for that. But she is on the Zoom call here. Mr. Douglas would be residing with his mother, who I called just before court to verify that as well. That address on file would be the proper address for him. He has 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 son. He shares custody with these children as well. He's made it through the 10th grade and was on track to work or receive his CDL license so he can get started working. He was supposed to start with that training program on January 9th. and I do have confirmation of that. However, he was in jail on January 9th and wasn't able to attend that. Judge, just as a small bit of background on the disposition of the case as well. You've heard he has no prior violent felony convictions. It just seems to be nonviolent shopliftings and drug possessions as well. He was receiving treatment for drug issues before that arrest, and he will be continuing that should he be released. In regards to the 3 cases as they stand, he was in jail for a prior shoplifting case. While in jail, he's alleged to have extorted other inmates for money, bonded out after that. Then there was the aggravated assault incident that allegedly occurred. And then later on, he was subsequently arrested with cocaine on him. So he doesn't seem to be, in my definition, a habitual violent offender or anything of the sort. Judge, I would ask for a reasonable bond to be set for Mr. Douglas. The family right now is struggling to come up with the money or whatever appropriate money they would need for such a bond. And in the meantime, Judge, they are working on, there has been a recent death in the family. And from what I've heard, Judge, and I'll have to truly verify this, but from what I've heard, it seems to have been involved with or caused by the alleged victim of this aggravated assault, who, while Mr. Douglas has been in jail, been harassing the family on extreme levels. That aside, Judge, the family is, struggling to come up with money to bury their relative now. We are asking for bond for Mr. Douglas not to exceed $15,000 in the aggregate for all 3 cases.
Ms. Brooks?
Your Honor, based on his criminal history, we do believe he's at risk to commit additional felonies if he is granted or if he is out on bond. We would definitely be requesting an ankle monitor. With regard to the case ending in 983, that did involve an individual that he does share a child with. So we would ask that the bond in that case, I believe that one is already at $15,000, if I'm correct. We'd ask that that bond remain the same, no contact with the victim, and stay away from the location. In terms of the theft by extortion case, I believe ending in 984, we would ask for a $25,000 bond in that case. I don't believe there was a bond set in that matter. And on the possession of cocaine, I did not hear any drug charges, I don't believe. So if the court, we would just ask that the court keep that bond at $3,500.
And he's gonna live in Fulton County, Mr. Rhodes?
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Well, wait, let me verify. I might have mixed him up with someone else. Yes, Judge, it'll be Fulton County, Atlanta.
All right, but it's not the 1145 Joseph E. Boone, right?
No, Judge, it will not be.
Okay. All right, position 19, and again, 4983, I'm going to add some conditions here. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1145 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. No further contact with Chantel, Chantell Beckett, Beckett. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. So if you get your CDLs, you'll have to provide all that. Now, previously, there was something in here that said, on one case it says no further contact, then it says no further violent contact because of transfer of the child. But was the child the alleged victim?
In one count, it's a cruelty to children in the 3rd degree just for the child being present.
That's my understanding as well, Your Honor.
So what's your position on how did we get here?
I would ask for no further contact and suggest if they need to do an exchange of the children, they have a third party assist in that.
Okay, so yeah, no further contact and then a third party exchange for as far as the child is concerned. Let's see, so it'll be 4,000, 4,000, and 4,000 since I made changes. Position 20, ending in 4984, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with David Moore. You can have ankle monitor paid for by the county, 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Supply that to Mr. Rhodes and to the ankle monitoring company, $15,000 good bond. The add-on, position 1, ending in 4982. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 962 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. Is that your address, sir?
That is his address, yes. That was just where he was arrested at, finally, where he had the cocaine on him allegedly.
So that's where you're going to be living, sir?
Yes.
I need a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay, all right, so we'll take that off as far as stay away from there if that's where he's going to be living. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county, 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working, sir. Supply that to Mr. Rhodes and the ankle monitoring company. $2,500 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right. Still no, oh, there's ACDC. All right. Is this James Reeves or Chris? All right, James Reeves. This is Beck. It's number 422 CP 214901. 113 days without indictment as of December the 24th. There's a $10,500 good bond on BGSA, possession of methamphetamines, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Pedestrian must walk on sidewalk if provided, and possession of drug-related objects. Free trial.
In regards to Mr. Reeves, 8 prior arrests, 1 misdemeanor, 1 arrest for probation violation, 29 arrests in Nevada, 2 in Georgia. Is that not correct?
Oh, no, you're reading it, Bostic. You got your
Somebody said something. That's why I asked.
Oh, I don't know. If somebody's coming off mute, they need to stay on mute. Nobody's got the floor but Bostic. Go ahead.
Prior shoplifting, carrying a weapon. No, it's prior CWAC, prior registry, prior another violation, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Reeves is 56 years old. He has lived in Georgia for about the last year. He was, prior to his arrest, he was working at Staff Zone, and he's still been in contact with them and would be able to go back to that job. They're very eager for him to go back there. He does have a good address. I'm so sorry. He does have a good address that he can go to at 2105 Baker Road, Northwest in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's 30318. And he would be living there with a coworker that he met at Staff Zone. Your Honor, I did want to clarify a few things with the charges. The firearm or knife that was found on him, he was living out of a tent. So the knife that was found on him was like a 3-inch knife that he just used for everyday living, just based on living in a tent. So while I understand the charge does include that, I did want that to be taken into consideration for bond. Most of his family does live out in Nevada still, and they had the money to bond him out. However, none of the bail companies in the area will accept their money because they aren't in person to be able to sign for it. So he's having a lot of trouble getting anyone to bond him out. For that reason, we are asking for a UJR on all counts, just because he would not be able to get anyone to pay for him. It's over 2,400 miles away for his family to be able to do that. I have been in contact with his family. They are positive that he would show back up to court. He plans on staying in the area. He doesn't want to go anywhere. His wife lives in Alabama, and while they live separate, like, she is a support system for him in the area. So again, for that reason, we are asking for a UJR across the board.
All right, Ms. Brooks.
Your Honor, we would oppose the UJR. We do believe, since he doesn't have very significant ties to the community, as stated, he's been here about a year. All the rest of his family is in Nevada. He's also a multi-state offender. We do think he may be at risk to be a flight risk. At this time, we would ask that bond remain the same, and we would ask for an ankle monitor.
Your Honor, if I may, in the alternative, could we get under $5,000 now that he does have a good address in this area, so that we could ask the bail project to assist us, since his family is unable to just because of the distance?
Okay. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 234 Memorial Drive. Income monitor paid for by the Orca Project, 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. If there's any kind of programs that Ms. Beck gets you into, you got to give your schedule, the place you're going to be working, proof of employment, and the exact location, the income monitoring company, and to Ms. Beck. Count 1, 3,000, count 2, 1,000. The pedestrian, sidewalk, and drug-related objects, both of those will be UJR through the jail. Best of luck to you, sir.
Your Honor, can we just have 48 hours to get the ankle monitor on? He does have a hold out of another county, so I just want to make sure that he's not in violation for those.
Oh, sure. 48 hours. Once you're released from the hold, sir, you got 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Christopher Bowie. All right, it's position 10, 22 CP 209423. 319 days without indictment. You've got a $33,500 good bond as of December the 13th, 2022. Interference with government property, removal or attempted removal of a weapon from a public official, obstruction of a law enforcement officer by use of threats of violence, and theft by shoplifting. Pre-trial.
Open case 20 CP 191836, aggravated assault. Open case 20 CP 191927, robbery. First offender on a terroristic threats, 2 counts, simple battery. Sentence 9/17/19, 6 months confinement, 3 years, 6 months. First offender on a criminal trespass in 2019. And prior unlawful entry into is that market? Unlawful entry. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bowie has been in continuous custody since May 29th of 2022. We are very quickly approaching 1 year with no indictment on this matter. Mr. Bowie did have his preliminary hearing back in September 21st, 2022. The officer did appear. We also understand that Mr. Bowie has 2 other open matters in Fulton County. However, we also want the court to note that these cases both have incident dates of back in May 2020. This May, those cases will turn 3 years old without indictment, just like this case. Mr. Bowie has been accepted to the Center for Employment Opportunity. This program is fantastic. It provides an ongoing support to those with a criminal history to build career capital and financial stability. We are asking the court for a $5,000 bond, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Brooks.
Your Honor, due to his open cases, we do believe he is at risk to commit additional felonies while he's out on bond. In addition, just looking over the warrants, it does appear he damaged a Georgia State Patrol vehicle and attempted to remove a taser from an officer. So we definitely have concerns with regards to that activity. At this time, Your Honor, we would ask for bond to remain the same. We would ask for a ankle monitor and that he stay away from victims and the location.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You got an ankle monitor paid for by the Orca Project with a 24-hour curfew, court, medical emergencies, attorney visits, employment, as long as you have provide the place of employment schedule and the exact location you're going to be working. Stay away from 25 Peachtree Street, all Georgia State University property, and all Walgreens. So if it says Georgia State, 7 North, booth 3, sit down. Sit. 2 South, booth 3, put your head up, put your head up, sit up straight. There you go, sit up straight. We're almost done. All right, so if it says Georgia State, you can't go on it. Don't forget some of the Georgia State properties over there on Georgia Tech property. So you can't go anywhere around any of that. No further contact with Officer Rodriguez Hicks of Georgia State Police Department unless it's in their official capacity. Well, I think I already said employment, right? If I already say employment, Ms. Beck, I lose my.
I believe so, but just for good measure.
Okay, yeah, and you can leave for employment, sir, but you got to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, exact location you'll be working. All right, so I've got 1,000 count 2, 20,000 count 3, 5,000 count 4, and $150 count. $150 count 4. 1,000, 20,000, 5,000, and $150. You got that, Miss Tracy? I'm sorry, Miss Sonia.
Yes, I got it, Jen.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Thank you, ACDC. Samuel Lawrence. All right, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Cho, we got 22 CP 214955. Samuel Lawrence, 109 days without indictment, no bond as of December the 27th. Arson in the second degree. Free trial.
number is Lawrence?
Samuel Lawrence, 15.
15. Samuel, extensive criminal history, 50 prior arrests, numerous felony, repeat offender, cocaine, entering auto 15 and 17, criminal attempted felony in 2011 and 2019. Nothing further.
Bob Nora, come in, sit down. All right, go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's good to see you again today after
You
this
too.
morning. Your Honor, we are trying to get Mr. Lawrence into an accountability court. I have spoken with Gwinnett Accountability Court, and Mr. Lawrence, at his direction, I requested that accountability court put a hold on him so that he could go to the accountability court that he is already assigned to. Speaking with accountability court over there, there's some hoops still that we have to jump through, and so there does not appear to be a hold at this time. I say all of that to say that Mr. Lawrence is very serious about trying to do what's right and trying to rehabilitate himself and trying to get into a posture where he does not end up being in a situation like this again. Judge, at Mr. Lawrence's direction, I am going to emphasize that while there is video, it's our understanding that there's no actual video of my client committing this act, and that the investigator who showed Mr. Lawrence the video acknowledged that as well. I also emphasized to the court that he was told that he threw a Molotov cocktail, and he does not know what a Molotov cocktail is and would consider that, quite honestly, and to be candid and blunt with the court, would consider that a waste of alcohol, Your Honor. So Mr. Lawrence does not have a history of arson. He is not a firebug in any kind of way. He denies these allegations completely, and he has been in jail some time at this point. With no probable cause hearing. Judge, he was previously, as I stated, in Gwinnett Accountability Court. He was part of Men and Women of Truth and Sober Living. He went to Lakeview after that. As the court can see, he was arrested on 12/27 for first appearance. Apparently, Lakeview closed. This was confirmed by the drug court people in Gwinnett, and it was Christmas time, so he was left out on the street. And so he had no place to go. He was between a rock and a hard place, and we're going to try to find him accountability court help in Fulton County at this point. But I believe Mr. Lawrence is entitled to a bond. I'm double checking that right now. He is currently on a no bond status. Judge, based on everything told to the court via proffer, we are asking the court to consider a reasonable bond. Mr. Lawrence is indigent. He needs BHTC to do anything. He would ask the court for an ankle monitor. He would want an ankle monitor if he goes to BHTC and starts a program, because he wants to hold himself to account. And quite frankly, Judge, the jail has devolved into a much more frightening place than it used to be. Judge would ask the court to consider a $5,000 bond at this time, and we'll defer to the court's wisdom and judgment, of course, nothing further.
So he'll provide an address once he bonds out. It'll probably be in Gwinnett County.
It does not appear that Gwinnett may be a viable option. The tricky part is that if we do it in Fulton, we'd have to get Gwinnett's cosign, basically. Speaking with drug court over there, or not drug court, I think drug court actually over there, the logistics are going to be tricky. But nonetheless, we're going to try. No address right now. Sorry for being long.
No, that's okay. All right, Ms. Brooks.
Based on his extensive criminal history, the state would request a bond in the amount of $75,000. We do believe he is a danger to property and the community. It's alleged that he threw a flaming item at 2 vehicles, one being a City of Atlanta vehicle. And so for that reason, we would also request an ankle monitor be issued, paid by the county.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 222 Prior Street Southwest. No further contact with Monica, Moneka, last name Wynn, Winn. All right, sorry, let's make sure you gotta have an ankle monitor paid for by the county, the Orca project with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and participating in your program that's in Gwinnett County or here. And employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location that you're going to be working, sir. You have supplied that to Mr. Cho and to the ankle monitoring company. This is only one count here, but there, there's two vehicles. It probably should have been two. $30,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. Jermel Fisher. All right, Mr. Cho, this is position 14, Bostic 22, CP 214953. 108 days without indictment. There's a $10,000 good bond set by someone else on December the 27th on aggravated assault.
No prior arrests.
Go ahead, Mr. Cho.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Fisher is a veteran. He has proudly served the American military. And Judge, as if you can note for the record or just take judicial notice, Miss Tatiana Fisher is also on the Zoom call today. That is Mr. Fisher's daughter. And so, Judge, Mr. Fisher has family who loves him very dearly and is quite concerned for him and dependency of this case. Long and short, Judge, this was a dispute between Mr. Fisher and his sister at the incident location, so he won't be going back there. But Judge, this was a dispute between brother and sister, and not in a way that resulted in any kind of long-time family feud. I've spoken with Miss Fisher, and hopefully AD Brooks can verify, but it's my understanding that Miss Naima Fisher does not want this case to be prosecuted, that she is not in fear of her safety and things of that nature. Judge, Mr. Fisher would have a good address in Indiana. To be candid with the court, that is where family would be. Miss Tatiana Fisher is there as well, and she can confirm any address. We are also working on trying to find a program commensurate to his status as a previous member of the military. And oh, Judge, I don't believe I said this specifically, but Ms. Naima Fisher apparently does want to recant her statement. Judge, I don't think this is a situation with permanent injury. It appears to be a situation of mutual combat. And this case has been going on long. Mr. Fisher has been suffering at the jail. He is willing to do Hope House as well. I have spoken with Ms. Glenn, social worker assigned to my unit. So we are working on that as well. The court would be inclined to consider UJR to Indiana. That would be our request, notwithstanding that the charge is not eligible. I understand. So, Judge, we're asking the court to consider reduction in half at the very least, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
Your Honor, at this time, unfortunately, our advocates were not able to make contact with the victim. They did call. However, her voicemail indicated there was no voicemail set up, so we're not able to leave a message. So unfortunately, I don't have any information about the potential possibility of her recanting any sort of statements. I do understand that this was a brother-sister altercation. However, it is alleged that there was some strangulation that did take place. I do understand, no criminal history. I do have a concern if he's going to be going back to Indiana in terms of him returning to court. I'm not certain how an ankle monitor would work in that regard if he does actually leave the state, but we would be requesting one. And at this time, Your Honor, I would leave the bond to the discretion of the court since I don't have any information for the victim at this time.
All right, they work up there. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with NAEEMAH Fisher, FISHER. Stay away from 3100 Godby Road. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. And you got to supply an address. If he gets you in a program here, you have to supply that address where you're going to be living. Sir, you have to supply that immediately. Let's see. Do you still need to go back one time to retrieve belongings from your sister's house? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. Okay, so we don't need to put that on there. All right, I added some stuff to it, so $8,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, 88 Brooks. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, Freddie Huff. Position 17, Bostic 22, CP 214971. No bond as of December 28th, 107 days without indictment. Aggravated assault, possession of firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Rah!
1 arrest in Alabama, 1 in Mississippi, 4 in Georgia, prior aggravated robbery in 2000. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Huff is 46 years old. He's been in jail for 107 days without indictment and without preliminary hearing as well. We haven't been able to be heard on these charges as of yet. Judge, we do have a good mailing address for him. It is the address on file. That is also where his brother lives. So he does have family here in Georgia as well. To my knowledge, well, as you've heard from Ms. Bostic here, he does have, I believe his most recent cycle would have been a 2000 aggravated assault, which he served 10 years for, and would have, of course, just been released in 2010. And I don't know if he has anything since then. With that, Judge, because his life was so disrupted because of that 10-year bid, it had been difficult for him to find employment and even still, along with housing. He's been homeless for a while and also has been without work for a while after that sentence. So as it stands, Judge, he cannot afford any bond on this case. He does still have 2 adult children, both of whom live in Atlanta. Most of his family lives in Atlanta. I don't believe that he's a flight risk for that reason. Judge, because Mr. Huff does not have any funds to bond himself out, all I can ask for, Judge, is a UJR for this charge, if it is indeed eligible for a UJR. If the judge is not inclined to grant that, I'd ask for a $5,000 bond so that we could perhaps work with a bail assistance program. But the trouble with that, Judge, is that they typically require proof of address, and that may be difficult to provide with Mr. Huff. With that, Judge, I'd leave it to the court's discretion, but I would ask for a UGR on this case.
All right. Ms. Brooks, understand by the warrants, this event happened November the 24th of 2021. So has there been any contact with the alleged victim?
Your Honor, they did attempt to make contact with the victim and left a message for her. She has not responded at this time. In addition to that, I would just state that they were in a dating relationship. So we would ask that there be no further contact with the victim, LaShondra Drain. Stay away from the location, 1371 Kimberly Way Southwest. In terms of the bond, because it is alleged that he struck her in the face with the actual firearm, Your Honor, we would be asking for a $100,000 bond on the aggravated assault and a $15,000 bond on possession of the firearm.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1371 Kimberly Way Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with LaShondra, LaShundra, last name Drain, Drain. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You also have to supply an address where you're going to be living, sir. You have to supply that to your lawyer and tell them at the jail, but supply it to your lawyer so they can file a change of address and let the ankle monitoring company know. 10,000 and 10,000. Best of luck to you, sir. $20,000 good bond. You can leave the booth. Tariq Simpson. All right, Mr. Nelson, position 18, Bostic 22, CP 214980. 107 days without indictment, no bond on armed robbery, hijacking motor vehicle first degree, ag assault, possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, fleeing and attempting to elude a police officer, driving without a valid license, failure to obey stop sign, improper or erratic lane change. All
Judge, in regards to Mr. Simpson, no prior arrests, nothing further.
right, go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, Judge. Sorry, there's something caught in my throat.
It's okay.
Mr. Simpson is 19 years old. He has a valid address with that address on file in Locust Grove. He lives there with his mother, sister, nephew, and niece. They've been living there for the past 4 years. I did call his mom shortly before court today as well. She's verified that, he will be living there, and has also wanted to assure me and the court that he is a good kid, again, at 19 years old, has no prior arrests as well. Judge, this is a case that also involved a co-defendant, just to bring that to the court's attention. That co-defendant was also in the car that was, allegedly hijacked and stopped, and was involved in, the alleged incident. That co-defendant received a $3,000 bond in total on just his one charge of obstruction. There's a large, and though I acknowledge that Mr. Simpson is alleged as the driver of this vehicle, there seems to be a large discrepancy in terms of how these co-defendants have been treated. I would ask, of course, for, he is entitled to a bond at this stage. I'd ask for a reasonable bond for Mr. Simpson as well. He was working at a warehouse associated with Bed Bath & Beyond, and had been working there for about 3 to 4 months as a packer just before arrest. And he is a graduate of Henry High School. With that, Judge, I would just ask for a bond to be set. The family doesn't know at this stage how much they can afford for bond. His mother, who I just spoke with, has just had surgery and also just had to buy a vehicle as an emergency. So they aren't working with much money at the moment. Judge, I'd ask for bond not to be set any higher than $10,000 in total.
All right, Ms. Brooks.
Yes, Your Honor, our victim advocate did attempt to reach the victim, Quincy Corley. However, they were not able to reach him as there was no telephone number listed. We do, however, still believe Mr. Simpson is a danger to the victim and the community just based on the charges. We do understand he does not have a prior record. However, these allegations are pretty extensive. So we would be asking for a bond, a fairly high bond, just giving the circumstances and the actual charges. I would ask for $25,000 on armed robbery, $25,000 on the hijacking, $25,000 on the aggravated assault, $15,000 on the possession of a firearm, and $500 on the traffic violations. We would also ask for no further contact with the victim and stay away from the location.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 152 Ruzelle Drive Southeast in Atlanta, Georgia. Also stay away from 3311 Empire Boulevard Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Quincy, Quincy, Corley, Corley. You can have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, a schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. You have to do that to the ankle monitoring company and to Mr. Rhodes. No further contact with your co-defendant, Lorenzo, Larenzo, Turner, Turner. Also, sir, you stay out of Fulton County. The only way you come back to Fulton County is court or to see your lawyer. You drive without a valid license, so you can't drive until you have a valid license. So when you get a ride, make sure your mama throws snacks in the car because you won't be driving because you don't have a valid license. Can't stop for anything, gas, flat tire, anything like that. Put some snacks in the car, get a ride to the courthouse, get a ride back. So no driving until you have a valid license. 20,000 count one, 20,000 count two, 20,000 count three, 10 on the firearm during the commission of a felony, 5 on the fleeing attempting to elude, 250 driving without a valid license, 250 on failure to obey traffic signal or light, and then 250 on driving improper erratic lane change. 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 10,000, 5,000, $250, $250, $250. Ankle monitors paid for by the county. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Let's see. I think that's it for you, Mr. Rhodes. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Daniel Bennett. Daniel Bennett. Nobody's Daniel Bennett. I got 2 people left, Johnny Morris and Daniel Bennett. Johnny Morris. Seven North, booth 3. Can you hear me? Mr. Morris, after I finish with you, would you mind telling him to swap?
Look like he
between-
fell asleep.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah, he's going to tell him. I don't know if there's audio in there. Thank you, Mr. Morris. All right. It's Johnny Morris, position 2. 22 CP 214872. Financial transaction card fraud, no bond as of December the 12th, 114 days without indictment. Then there's 22 CP 214870, 114 days without indictment. No bond as of December the 22nd. Possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance, possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, giving false information to law enforcement officer, possession of dangerous drugs, and possession of drug-related objects. Rob.
2 prior arrests, 3 open cases. Other open cases, 22 CP 208238, marijuana with intent, cocaine with intent, firearm during 22 CP 214870, Schedule 2 firearm during misdemeanor possession, giving false name, drugs, drug-related objects. 22 SC 180437, theft by receiving stolen property, and nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cazzoli. Are you on mute, Mr. Cazzoli?
My apologies, Your Honor.
That's okay.
And good evening.
Good evening.
Your Honor, Mr. Morris is being held on no bond on 2 different cases. One, a transaction card theft, and then the other has a single felony, and it was a Schedule 2 possession, which was 1 pill of MDMA. The dangerous drug that is included on there is penicillin. Your Honor, and he has now been held almost 4 months without bond. So we are asking for bond in this matter. And Mr. Morris, go ahead and put your thumb up if I'm correct on this address here. I don't have your most up-to-date notes. Is 3067 Brook Hollow Drive still a good address for you? All right, sir. And then that's in Rex, Georgia, correct? 30273.
He gave you a thumbs up. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. So we are asking for a bond in this matter. We're asking for a bond not to exceed $7,000 between the 2 of them. Again, these with no convictions, Your Honor. This is I'm pretty incredulous. I was incredulous at first appearance, and I'm incredulous that it's been this long already with no bond. We're asking for $7,000 total, and I will give you these breakdowns here. On position 2, the financial transaction card theft, we're asking for $2,000. And then on position 3, we're asking for $3,000 on the controlled substance, and then $500 on each of the misdemeanors.
Go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
Your Honor, based on his criminal history and the fact that he has 3 open cases, I think 2 of which also involve some sort of drug possession, we do believe he's at a high risk to commit additional felonies if he's out on bond. Given position 2 with the financial transaction card theft, we would ask for a stay away order from the victim, Nathan Wilson, in that matter. With regard to bond in that case, we'd be asking for a $20,000 bond. With regard to the possession case position number 3, Mr. Cazzoli is corrected. It was 1 pill of MDMA. However, given his previous history and the open cases for the other drug charges, we still do find that concerning. So in that case, we'd be asking for at least $15,000 on the possession of a controlled substance, $15,000 on the firearm, and at least $2,500 on the remaining charges. We'd ask that he stay away from each location and an ankle monitor as well.
Okay, on position 1, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Nathan Wilson. Stay away from 1388 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard. Sir, stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court or to see your lawyer, okay? You gotta have an ankle monitor, 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're gonna be working. $2,000 good bond. Position 3, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Don't get gas, don't get a snack, don't get a flat tire, okay? You only come here for court to see your lawyer. Ankle monitor paid for by the county, 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Not sure about the status on the bonds on the other cases. If you've got them, if they're there, if they're going to revoke them, sir, but these are just going to be these, okay? $2,000 on count 1. $5,000 on count 2, $100 on the marijuana less than an ounce, $500 on giving false information to law enforcement officer, $100 on dangerous drugs, and $100 on possession of drug-related objects. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you. Could you get, and now he just left the booth. You mind telling him to come in there where you were? Thank you so much.
All right, take care, Mr. Morris. And Judge, that's the only case I have today, if I may be excused.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Cazzoli. Have a good day.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, Daniel Bennett. Daniel Bennett, come on in, have a seat. Daniel Bennett. You're Daniel Bennett? Thumbs up.
That's him, Your Honor.
Okay, that's him. All right. All right, there's 2 cases. 22 CP 214744. $10,000 good bond on December the 19th, 119 days without indictment. Willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer by threats of violence. Simple battery against a peace officer or detention officer, disorderly conduct. And that bond of $10,000 was set by another judge on December the 19th. Then I got position 6, 22 CP 214745. 119 days without indictment. There's a $14,000 good bond as of December the 19th on 2 counts of arson in the 3rd degree.
51 prior arrests, 2 arrests for probation violation, obstruction, conviction, criminal damage to property, interference with government property, terroristic threats, criminal damage to property. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Beck.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Bennett is 60 years old. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. He currently receives income from disability. Currently, we're trying to secure housing for him. Our social worker is working very hard to get him into a mental health program so that he can be successful in that. It has been 119 days without indictment or without a preliminary hearing. We still don't have a preliminary hearing date set. We are asking for $3,000 for case ending in 744. We are asking for $3,000 for the obstruction, and then UJRs with wrap services for the other 2 misdemeanors. And then for the case ending in 745, we are asking for $4,000 on each count, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Brooks.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I'm just confirming what the arson was in relation to. I will say based on his criminal history, we would object to a UJR. We do believe he's at risk to commit additional crimes while he's out on bond. I'm sorry, just 1 second.
Your Honor, we believe that a lot of these repeat cycles are due to his underlying mental health. So the reason we are asking for UJR with wrap services is so that we make sure that even when he is out, after he's paid bond for the other charges, that he is still connected with resources so that hopefully we don't continue to see this cycle repeat itself.
Your Honor, with regard to position 5, it does appear that involved and he spit and swung his fist toward her. We would ask for no further contact with regard to her. I do understand the bond's already set at $10,000. I will not ask for it to be increased. However, I do believe that that's a serious allegation. In terms of the arson, for whatever reason, I can't get the warrant to pop up. But there are 2 counts of arson. I believe bond's already set $14,000. Your Honor, I won't ask for the bond to be increased, given the fact that they're trying to get him in a program. However, I would ask that he stay away from the location, and we would be requesting an ankle monitor. And for some reason, I can't get the warrant to come up. So nothing further, Your Honor.
Bostic. They usually do rep services at bond hearing. What's your opinion on that?
It's generally determined at first appearance. If he didn't meet the standard at first appearance, then the list is sent out at first appearance.
All right, let's see. Looks like property of 136 Euclid Avenue and 120 Euclid Avenue. Let's see. Brew house. Sorry, trying to read this fast. They saw the smoke. Hold on. Variety Playhouse and Get It Girl Boutique. Little 5 points. All right. So in position 6, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, and he doesn't have an address yet, right, Miss Beck?
No, Your Honor. That's what we're hoping to get with the program.
All right, need to supply an address where you'll be living, sir, upon bonding out. Stay away from 1136, 1174, and 1120 Euclid Avenue. Stay out of Little 5 Points in Atlanta. You know where that section is, sir? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do you know where Little 5 Points is? Good. Stay away from Little 5 Points. Stay away from 275 Prior Street. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply proof of employment, location, schedule, and they, gosh. Proof of employment, name of employer, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Sorry, I've been saying that all day. You have to supply that to Ms. Sofarasi and to the ankle monitoring company. Don't think I had no further contact with, let's see, I don't think I had any names. Anyway, stay out of Little 5 Points.
There was an officer listed, Gore, Nikita Gore, I believe.
These are just on the two arsons.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'll make those $5,000 a piece. $10,000 on those, sir. All right, on position 5. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with SHAKIRA Burton unless it's their official duties. Stay away from 105 Andrew Young Industrial Boulevard. Stay away from Centennial Olympic Park. No further contact with Nikia, Niquia Gore, GOAR. And I think that may be an officer. One second. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment is scheduled, the exact location you're going to be working, and also to participate in any program that Ms. Beck or Ms. Sarfarasi gets you into, sir. 1 second. Let me see if this. I'm not sure if the Kia Gore was a. Secure Burton, yeah, the Georgia World Congress Center. So stay away from Georgia World Congress Centers, please. Let's see. All right. And sir, I hate that I have to put this in the bond condition, but you need to purge the N-word from your vocabulary. Just letting you know, you need to stop using the N-word from your vocabulary. You use it towards a police officer. You're lucky in these days and times it wasn't somebody else that would hurt you. Stay away from all Georgia World Congress Center property. They got 5,000 count 1. 2,000 count 2, and 1,500 for count 3. Have Ms. Sofarasi reach out and see if we can't get him in some sort of, if you find a program, see if we can't get him in there. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. I think that's,
Judge,
yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, you told me to not forget to mention about the visitation at ACDC. You told me.
Oh yeah. Thank you, sir. You can leave the booth. LT, for the bond for the Bell Project to interview people to get on the Bell Project, I think they have to interview them remotely. If you have people at ACDC, how are they able to interview the inmates to get them, see if they can connect them with the Bell Project? Is there a way, or who would they need to talk to?
They would need to talk with Captain Baxter. She can be contacted by email. She does have a county cell phone, but she prefers to be contacted by email. If not by email, I could give you Captain Baxter's number. She will direct the person how to complete that process.
All right. Do you know her first name? And Miss Beck will write it down and pass that along to folks.
Oh, I'm ready.
If you give me a second, I'll give it to you.
Okay. I don't know how many Baxters there are. My luck, I'll look it up. There'll be like 50.
Okay, hold on one second.
That wasn't you that asked today, but somebody, was that you that asked me earlier? No, I think it was maybe Miss Cole that asked earlier.
For what?
That asked earlier. I think it was maybe Miss Cole that asked earlier, because the Bell Project, they can't seem to make that remote connection to be able to interview them. And she said the
It's
Bell
ridiculous.
Project's having trouble with folks at ACDC. So maybe you could pass out along to everybody that name. He'll get you her first name. Try
Okay.
to pull it up
I
in county
think
email.
it's LURA when I look in the Outlook. That's the only one that's listed. That's a captain.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you,
Pass it
LT.
along to Ms. Cole.
All right, yeah, and maybe pass it on to anybody else in case y'all have some for the Bell Project. That's maybe who they need to reach out to, see if they can,
Okay.
make it happen. Oh, you're on mute, LT.
You on mute, LT?
Excuse me. Yes, that would be Laura Baxter.
Okay.
LURA.
All right, thank you so much.
Quite
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
All
Thank
right,
you, Your Honor.
thank you. Have a good evening. All
You
right, I
too.
think that's it for tonight, right? And I got some prelim
That's it.
in the morning. All right, see y'all in the morning. Thanks, LT. Thank you, Miss Brooks.
Quite welcome. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Judge.
Night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night, Judge. I'll
Good
text you.
night.
Miss Tanya.